I miss bits of the old Jade.
Bits? What bits?
Where's the Jade that questioned everything?
To reset, for those who haven't watched the first little bit of this, Stephen Let's Talk is about don't listen to the voice of strangers. Basically, it's about how you need to only listen to the governing body with your absolute trust. And anytime you see anything negative about witnesses anywhere else, probably fake, safe to ignore. If it scares you, it's bad. Just listen to Papa Stevie and his other shepherd buddies. So that's where we're at. He's introducing this and he's saying, oh, but what if the voice of a stranger isn't just the nefarious mainstream media? What if it's a family member? What if it is your very daughter or even you? And he looks right at the camera and points. He holds up a mirror to the screen. So that's what we're getting into. And they're setting up a scenario where our new convert, Jade, is going to encounter some apostate information.
How will she learn to reject the voice of strangers in a sensitive situation?
Sensitive? Boy, oh boy. Do you think anybody coaches him and is like, we obviously think you're doing great, Stephen, but just from behind the camera, it doesn't quite read right for you to say sensitive in a almost slow motion voice while talking about a young girl.
Sensitive situation.
We have a theme song for Jade and Nita.
Amen.
It smells wonderful.
Oh, wait, I forgot.
Oh, yeah, guys. They're roommates. Your fan fiction is still very much canon, don't worry.
Oh, we'll take it in turns.
It's a practice for my first guest.
Really? Who?
My mum.
That's wonderful.
We had our first phone call in a year that wasn't a total disaster, so I invited her around tomorrow.
It'll go great.
And isn't this just, it would be so awful, wouldn't it, if there was an uncomfortable tension in your relationship with your parents because of disagreements about religion? I would hate to think of a group that would stir up those divisions between families and turn family members into merely stumbling blocks or potential prospects into your religion. Our protagonist tosses and turns, deep in thought about how she can possibly convert her mother into joining her religion.
Hi, Mum.
Hello, love.
Sometimes the apostate is the one knocking on the door and ringing the doorbell. What a role reversal. I think we should note right off the bat that Jade's journey was kind of interesting in that I think for the first time they did something that I always thought about as a witness, which is that the witness is usually a boring killjoy.
Why are you all dressed up like this? Are you going on service?
I'm going to real estate classes.
What?
Generally speaking, the people that they present as converts to the religion, they always talk about how violent and miserable they were. So most of the videos that they put out, like Jehovah Changed My Life on the website, they've got that video series.
As a result, I became a drug addict. This loveless upbringing made me a very violent person, unable to love and trust anyone. I was depressed. I couldn't have a normal, happy life like everyone else.
The most extreme examples because they want something that's going to be really emotionally stirring. And what you almost never see is somebody who's just sort of living a normal life and is relatively happy, but is just earnestly interested in the witnesses because they think it's true. And they kind of tried to do that with Jade. And I think the problem is they kind of made her too likable as a worldly person. She was very likable and charming and funny, and she dressed cool. She had like a blue stripe in her hair, I think. Had some quips, really good stuff like, my name is Jade because I'm jaded.
My name's Nita. What's yours?
Jade.
Like the stone?
No. Like I'm jaded.
one of the weird things that we're going to come up on is that the mom is going to say, this clearly made you such a better person, obviously joining the religion. And it's like, Jade seemed pretty much fine. I think she was like late for class once because she was partying.
Hi.
What you say?
You're really quite stealthy.
Brilliant, right? Perfect when I'm late for class, which is always.
Right.
What you say?
But she didn't seem notably unhappy as a person in the world. And in fact, she had to give up smoking weed for reasons that she did not fully agree with or understand.
What you say?
From all non-medical use of addictive or mind-altering substances.
Non-medical? But taking something when I'm feeling a little stressed, like maybe, I don't know.
A little weed?
That's okay, right? And it's for the stress.
I guess I didn't quite understand what medical meant.
I don't really know how effective this is for witnesses. I guess it's almost wish fulfillment for them to be like, see, cool people join our religion too. But see if you agree with me on this. But I think that when you watch this, Jade seems much less like a real person than she did before. She seems very boring and stilted and uninteresting and robotic. So we'll see. We'll see. And obviously that, of course, is the intention of putting on the new personality. The new personality is being a square. Now Jade wears neutral t-shirts with no logos or showing any skin. She doesn't do interesting
Your
things with her
roommates,
hair.
you say they're explorers?
She wears a watch, so she's always on time. Good point from Samantha, too, in the comments, which is it seemed like their story was more about the relationship than the actual teachings. And I think that's true. And I think that is not an accident, but it's also technically something that they advise against. You know, they don't want people who are joining to only join because they agree or because they have a friendship or relationship with the person studying with them. That's something that they've talked about in the publications. But I think that video demonstration series really showed that so much of it is that Jade likes Nita because she seems like a nice person and they become friends. And in order for this friendship to really persist, she needs to be in the same religion as Nita.
Jade, love, all this, I see it's made you a better person. Heaven knows I tried.
Oh, that you only meant well.
But I miss bits of the old Jade.
Bits? What bits?
Where's the Jade that questioned everything?
How do we tackle this? Because this is weird, I think. I miss the Jade who questioned everything. This is a very tricky line that witnesses are watching, and I'm not sure how well they've done it. I think that this is one of the better pieces of video propaganda that they've ever produced. I think it will certainly be validating to witnesses. I do think it will maybe scare off people who have recently joined and are maybe starting to question or whatever. But I miss the Jade who questioned everything. Now, necessarily, when you join the witnesses, they encourage you to be critical of your existing beliefs. And witnesses love pointing to the Bereans, who apparently examined every word to make sure it lined up with the word of God. When they're in a court setting, you know, a leader of Watchtower, they say that it's up to the rank and file members to agree with the teachings or not. They have to compare it against the Bible, which is bullshit. It never happens. But this is, as Elizabeth mentions, a good question. Questioning everything, I guess, could be annoying if, like, her mom served dinner and was like, hey, here's some soup. And Jade was like, is it really soup or is it hot ham water? Like, that would be annoying. But this goes with the critical attitude that witnesses present as a negative thing. So we're in this space where it's like, don't be the kind of person that questions everything. That's bad. But also, that's something that her mom loved about her and misses. And it is acknowledging that people who join have to stop questioning stuff at some point. So when I first watched this, I was kind of outraged at this video, in part because I thought it was kind of well done. Now, though, I think that if I was in the position that I was in like 3 years ago, I would have watched this and thought, man, this is so manipulative. So I think it depends. I think sometimes I tend to put too much stock in like, oh man, this is going to drag people further in, or this is going to, wake people up. And I think it's usually just an individual thing. People aren't going to wake up or go further in unless that's what they're predisposed to do already. Maybe that's copium, but Cam has a good point too, which is that's exactly why she thinks Jade would never have joined. She would have questioned it and used her critical thinking skills. Yeah, exactly. People who are naturally disposed to questioning don't join, but I think Watchtower wants to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say, look, people who question everything do join our religion. They just stop doing that when they know it's the truth because they don't have to do it anymore. You found the truth. Stop it. Stop questioning.
Then she pulls out her phone and starts showing me stuff about witnesses.
What kind of stuff?
News stories, all negative and slanted. I tried to change the subject, but she just kept at it. I tried to change the
Negative
subject.
and slanted. Now, how would one positively spin a CSA story? One might ask. Sometimes the news is negative because negative things happen in the news. Sometimes a bad thing happens and it's not slanted. And how would Jade know that it is slanted? That would mean that she actually read the article, I think, which witnesses, of course, are encouraged not to do, even to check and see if it's true.
Consider this scenario. The unbelieving husband of your Bible student sends his wife a link to an apostate web page and says, "Here, you better look at this and see what you're getting into." Well, your student is concerned and she wants you to take a look and tell her what you think. Well, that's not an option.
Samantha has a good point here, which is I think Jade would have noticed that the religion is homophobic and not joined because she's bi, which of course I think is canonically true. But I also think that would be a thing that happened. Like it would be pretty uncommon to meet somebody who is Jade's age and is not only passively okay with homophobia in the abstract, but is okay with joining a religion where you specifically have to teach that message to other people, or else you yourself will die in Armageddon. That is a much harder ask, and I think that's why they're having trouble converting people like Jade to the religion. So this is a pure fantasy, and even in the scenario where Watchtower gets to script what everybody says, I think we're showing that there's still a lot of holes in their logic. Now, what's so bad about this? Well, obviously, absolutely nothing, but this is very earnest and honest concern from a mom. And I think that Watchtower kind of acknowledges this in the video. Like the mom isn't really saying anything crazy. And the way they contextualize this after the fact that Stephen Lett does is bananas. They are training their members to reject honest concern from close friends and family members. Like if you send one of your friends or family members an article about CSA, they're like, hey, even though they think they're coming from a loving place, they're still secretly being used as a puppet of Satan. That's one thing I forgot to say that's kind of important, and it's going to ultimately be the lesson of this whole thing, is that sometimes Satan uses his voice through people without them knowing.
The original stranger was Satan the devil. Like a ventriloquist, he made a serpent appear to talk, but the words were Satan's words. Satan thereby used his voice to slander Jehovah and deceive Eve. Today, Satan continues his work as an evil ventriloquist using not serpents, but human puppets to enunciate his voice, these acting as his agents, either wittingly or unwittingly.
It's very creepy.
Well, how long are you going to be gone for?
I'll stay another month. I told my daughter it's too hot here. What's happened to me?
Abigail?
I think that they're trying to show that, hey, Jade's life is more interesting than her life was before. See, she has a friend in presumably Africa or something, judging by the backdrop. This is kind of boring.
Jade girl, how are you?
Been better.
Oh, Nita said that your mother visited.
I hope you don't mind.
No. Mum's driving me mad. It's like it's her hobby to ruin my life.
Oh.
By sharing news articles about my
wonderful.
religion.
Oh. She sounds wonderful. Like me when my daughter got baptized.
You opposed your daughter?
Oh, mercy, yes. Oh, mercy, yes.
Oh, mercy,
I love her
yes.
so much.
This is how people talk, everybody.
I love her so much and didn't want to lose her.
But I'm not going anywhere.
Of course not, but a worried mother doesn't know that.
People who oppose the organization are just temporarily confused. They're not correctly informed about the negative sides of the organization. They've been swindled by Satan, the puppeteer,
an evil ventriloquist.
What they're going to reiterate is that even somebody like Jade's evil, nasty, apostate mom can become a witness. They can become your Zoom buddy, like sister, whoever the fuck. This is so fucked up. I'm not going anywhere, but a nervous mother doesn't know that. I know that my mom watched this. What does she think about shit like this? That's all I want, is for my mom to know that I'm okay and that I know she's nervous, but I'm not going anywhere. It's actually her that's gone somewhere, at least mentally and emotionally. So it's really infuriating, really clearly showing the double standard that they have for believers versus people who leave the organization. My mom's reaction to me becoming an apostate is perfectly reasonable, but Jade's mom's reaction to Jade joining the religion is completely unreasonable. Imagine like being so depressed, and I can easily imagine this because I did it. Being depressed and just going in your room by yourself and reading the Bible, it's just a little sad, isn't it? Like Jade seems so much less happy now. And it's all stemming from the religion. It's all stemming from this religion that demands exclusion and demands a complete shutdown from any controversy or reporting about the actual issues in the religion.
Mum is not the stranger.
Mum is not the stranger.
It's what she shares. Reject the voice. Not her.
Reject the voice, not her. And this is where I stab myself in the face. First of all, love the part of any soliloquy that's given like on a convention or whatever, where the person has to step aside and go, wait a minute, I need to pray about this. They bow their head and look up and go, yeah, that's the good stuff right there. That hit me just right in my deep downs. And again, this is not what witnesses apply to people who leave the religion. They don't say, well, I'm not rejecting the person, I'm rejecting the message. It's like, no, reject the whole fucking person. Don't even eat with them. Don't talk to them. Don't respond to their texts or calls unless it's an absolute emergency.
But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me.
It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah.
I have to think that some of my friends and family can recognize that a little bit. Like, I like to think that my friends miss me and think, why do I have to shun him and not just agree to not talk about this stuff? Well, they kind of have a little workaround later in the video.
Did you look at those links that I sent you?
Mum, I want us to get together, but I won't hear anything negative about my beliefs.
By the way, the CSA cases do not reflect negatively on Jade's beliefs. They reflect negatively on policies and procedures that have been changed over the years and are often changed after, Watchtower is forced to because of litigation, because of a royal commission, for instance. They're conflating the negative reporting because negative stuff is happening that needs to be reported about. And the media just being like, man, witnesses are weird. We don't like them very much. Yeah, Maria here. Mom is not the stranger. Proceeds to shut down her mom every time they speak about anything but the weather. That's
Kinda what's frustrating.
Well, perhaps we just won't talk religion.
It's a deal then?
All right then. I can see I'm not going to get anywhere. So what subject do you want to talk about?
So you're thinking, oh my God, why can't I just do that with my disfellowshipped or with my family members who are still in? I'm disfellowshipped or faded or whatever. Why can't we just agree to not talk about religion? This seems very hypocritical. It absolutely is, especially with how things go. But you're going to see that they're like, well, you might think that you can just not talk about religion, but it turns out apostates are so insane that they just can't stop it.
The deal fell apart fast.
Jade, I know we weren't going to talk religion, but I must tell you this one thing that
Mum,
I read.
I thought we weren't going to talk about this.
Jade, I saw a secret recording from an internal meeting in Bethel where they said that they had to shred certain documents because Satan is using the media to come after them. Does that sound healthy? I don't care, Mommy. What's so frustrating about this, Matt, a regular pioneer, brought this up on Twitter, which is like, witnesses kind of don't know that there's all this negative stuff for the most part. And there's a bit of a Streisand effect that happens that I know happened with me, which is the very fact of Garrett Loesch bringing up this stuff a few years back when he gave that broadcast talking about how we have to listen to the faithful slave because Jesus trusts us, whatever.
Ask yourself, am I prone to believe rumors? And even if I am, should I spread it and undermine the trust that others have in the slave or in representative of the branch office?
I hadn't really thought too much about negative reports about Jehovah's Witnesses. I didn't know that it was a prevalent thing. And it was only by hearing that it was a prevalent thing that made me think, wait a minute, they're sure talking an awful lot about all this stuff we're not supposed to look at. That doesn't seem normal. What I like to think, to put a positive spin on things, because apparently I'm trying to do that today, is that this is going to cause a lot of people to be like, she couldn't even listen to what her mom said. Like, wouldn't it have provided an opportunity to stand up for the faith and clear up confusion and misrepresentation? If they are spreading lies in the media, let's hear what the lies are so that we can refute them. That is going to happen with some people, as much as, yes, this will scare a lot of people. And for many more, it'll just cause them to nod. I watched a video by, I think it was Ben Ford's recent video. He played a clip from a broadcast that I know that I watched when I was in, and it was so cringy and creepy and weird, but I just didn't remember it. I don't remember that ever happening because it wasn't a part of my waking up journey. It's just something that you smile and nod through. So I think as much as it's easy to like freak out about this stuff, the majority of witnesses just smile and nod through this stuff, and they're on their phone through the whole fucking broadcast and they don't care. Like, especially people who are Jade's age.
Jade, I got an alert this morning and I'm really worried about this.
No, I was sure.
It was an alert that you won $1 million for free. You don't, okay, I guess I won't tell you about any alert. What if she got an alert this morning that like she was dying? But Jade just shuts it down before she can even possibly know what the hell her mom is talking about.
I was sure this wouldn't work. And then it happened.
And then magically, it all got solved for no fucking reason.
Jade, I'd like to change our agreement. If I ask you what you believe, you get to answer. Short answers, I won't be converting. It's a deal then?
Yeah, it's a deal.
This stuff sucks really hard. And yeah, people are pointing out in chat that like, imagine doing this to your mom. And I want like, if for some reason some witness is watching this, trying to count time, or I don't know. Think about this a little bit. Like, imagine you as a witness are watching some Catholic Church propaganda that they show internally to their members. And it's an example of a young Catholic girl being told by her worldly mom to look at reports in the Boston Globe about CSA in their organization. And you just see the Catholic girl just get up and stand and go like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. We can't even have a relationship if you keep talking about this. I think a witness would rightly recognize that as completely ridiculous and not brain good smart, to use the scientific term. Here's a read you could have on that, because obviously this is not what Watchtower is thinking. They think, aha, well, the way to solve this is if you are obstinate enough towards your parent and just refuse to ever listen to any criticism, they'll eventually quit and probably convert, because you've been so strong about never listening to anything they have to say. They'll love that about you and want to experience more of it in their lives. And a lot more people who do it too. But what it seems like to me, from an apostate point of view, is that Jade's mom realized that the right way to approach this situation is not to confront the indoctrinated cult member with critical information, but rather to draw them out with epistemology. Just ask questions about their beliefs. And even just by virtue of Jade saying these things out loud and having to explain them, she might realize how they sound to a critical ear. That's something that I started doing when I was not realizing that I was questioning, but questioning, is I would hear something on the meeting that was said during a talk or in a video, and I would think, if I was a worldly person, I wouldn't be convinced by this for X, Y, and Z. So, but this is a technique that you can do if you are maybe PMO and trying to talk to your witness family and friends, or if you're just in a relationship where your believing family members still are willing to have conversations with you. Genuinely, just asking questions instead of trying to, show them an article can be more effective at waking them up.
How wise it was for Jade to distinguish between the dangerous falsehoods about Jehovah's people and the person unwittingly promoting them.
I think that this is a bit of ass covering that they're trying to do when they are inevitably in court, and clips from this are inevitably played. They're going to be like, no. So we're not saying that you're all influenced by Satan. Sometimes there's a difference between the person and the lies that Satan spreads. But what is the meaningful difference? Because if witnesses really believed this, they wouldn't have to shun people who became apostates, right? They would just say, okay, I recognize that this person has strong disagreements with the religion now, but I can separate that from the person and we can just talk about other things. But they don't do that. They don't do that. And it is not bravely taking a stand, as Maria wisely points out. That was not taking a stand. That was intimidating someone into complying. That's exactly what the disfellowshipping arrangement is. It's what the entire social pressure economy of Jehovah's Witnesses is. It's put some pressure on them, their kids. Put a bunch of pressure on everybody, big and small ways, so that they always feel a certain urge to comply, even if it's not in their own best interest, even if they don't understand it, even if they think it's wrong. The governing body says, just shut up and listen anyway.
This not only protected Jade from dangerous thinking, but also helped her mother.
You know what's dangerous thinking? Thinking that you are subhuman because of your sexual orientation or because of your gender alignment. That's also dangerous thinking. Suicidal thinking is very dangerous thinking. And I never had as many issues with that until I woke up and realized I was in a cult. And then I started having them all the time. That, I would say, is more dangerous thinking.
What you say, that you only meant well, but of course you did.
Guys, that's her canonical name, Sister whatever the fuck. Sister Dildo in the rear.